Hey, 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 land of YouTube. It's fantastic to be with you after thinking I was for about the past half an hour and then thinking, hey, I haven't had any interaction from anyone thus far. So maybe I'm not actually live the way that I thought that I was. And so I chose to change that. And I am also in need of making sure that it allows for the chat feature because I want to hear from you. I sang a song over on the other. And so I recorded some of it. I'm hoping it streamed to Facebook and then you got to see some of it there, but my restream doesn't appear to have worked. Oh, I did get a notification to say I was live. Huh, darn it. Well, here we go. The title is not that which I was wishing for. Ah, how did I make that mistake? How funny. So here we go. I'm going to be sharing with you Weaving Stronger Inner Webs, the roles of respect and contribution to self-actualization. Respect in the hierarchy of motivational needs by Abraham Maslow had respect just under self-actualization, which is the pinnacle experience of doing what we came here for. Contribution is akin to that, self-actualization. And so why I wanted to bring respect into the forefront of our perspective tonight is that I really wanted to bring into the frame the fact that we are either respecting ourselves through our actions, our behaviors, our beliefs, our thoughts, or we are disrespecting ourselves. We are dissing ourselves. We have to be aware. We have to be conscious of how we are showing up for ourselves. At the end of the day, we have to really be clear. How are we showing up for ourselves? Because if we are showing up feeling less than, if we are showing up and deciding not to show up because of those fears, that's a problem. And I'm going to be honest that what I said in the first part of this message, that clearly there's a part one and part two, because it did say now streaming and I questioned it. So now it's an example of when doubt can interrupt the flow, literally. The stream literally got interfered with, and Facebook no longer is gaining access to this live, right? So all of this is kind of just to frame the fact respect is the name of the game. Respect is what takes a lifetime to earn fully, as with trust. Very similar, both so sacred. And yet it can take a moment to break either respect or trust. It's just like, how much can I trust you to actually have my back? You have to ask yourself, because that's what it's about in the scheme of things. Like, we need to know whether we have our own back or not. And if we don't, like, that's a problem, obviously, right? So I hope that you are willing to actually respect yourself. I hope that you are willing to do what it takes to be the one that you can look up to, literally, as the intuition your soul hired ahead of time to guide you in this lifetime as you. I hope that you will actually dare to be the most that you could possibly be, to fill the shoes that your soul came here for, that only you can do what you came here for. Truly, like, we have to see how significant we each are, because we are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the ones that came here with a song in our hearts that only we can sing. And if we don't do it while we're here, we come back into a reality where we didn't do what we came here to do. that is a nightmare from my perspective. That is an opportunity for us to come back into a reality where we just keep falling into the same gaps, the same traps, and we say, God, what is it? Well, we're energetic beings. And when we create soul ties outside of ourselves with others, then we bring those soul ties with us into the next incarnation where our energy moves into a different vessel or a different form. So, with that in mind, we have to look at the maid service, which is ultimately why weaving stronger inner webs is so vital right now. Because literally, here in Canada, the Canadian government has created what is called a maid service that I think is utterly disgraceful, because the maid service stands for medical assistance in dying service. But to call an assisted death program a maid service, as if the maids are going to come in and clean up the trash, as if you are not worth more than just coming in and getting cleaned up after, as if life is not more precious. Like, do you understand how hard we had to fight in order to get here? How many sperm there were that were vying for the spot that the one that became part of you got? Like, you have to recognize how inappropriate some people can be. And I'm just getting rid of some comments that were fortunately held back because they're not welcome. And there. Not interested. Please only leave comments that are actually insightful or useful to others. Also, for the maid service, if you take the maid service, you potentially come back into a reality where you didn't do what was still in you to do because you left before you had a chance. Because it's all about chances. It's all about the chances we take. When you actually let your highest self guide you to show up fully in the now moment, fully present as you are, when you actually show up that way, able to say, hey, I'm here fully present. I'm with it. I'm in it to win it. I am going to give it everything I've got. When you show up fully committed, which is the name of my book, The Sacred Sojourn of Now, that if you haven't already got your copy, I would highly encourage you to do. But fully committed is what we came here to be. And if we try to get out early because we don't deal with the pain, imagine coming back with the compounded interest of not paying for the pain in this life is for the next one, if that's the case. It's quite dangerous to leave early before we've dealt with the energetics, because if we don't deal with the energetics now, imagine coming back into a reality where the energetics still aren't understood. We came here to understand the energetics. I'm here to help with the energetics. I don't have the full picture specifically, but I'm offering the best that I've got, and I have some amazing friends. And it's just like the Marianne Williamson poem, Our Deepest Fear, that I got permission to use, and I'm grateful for. As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. We came here to actually set others free, because we are the living example that can be what others look to and say, that is who I aspire to be like. We don't have to be the big celebrities, the ones that are on the stages and, driving all of the nice cars and big mansions and all of the luxury things that oftentimes break them in the end because they were putting on a show in the front in order to make people believe they had it. So then they'd pay them to learn how to get it the way that they did, but we're only pretending to in the first place. And then everybody's just run amok because everybody's trying to do what actually wasn't meant to be. Theories, or I've seen it. And ultimately, I want to be real. And I think respect is the biggest thing. I respect myself enough to walk away from opportunities, such as groups throughout my life. Many I've left because I stopped resonating with either members or um, I I couldn't stay without being disrespected. Relationships, you know, when we actually respect ourselves enough to walk away from what doesn't serve us, then the universe gets to know we're serious. And what I was going to do is share the sacred sojourn of the soul, which you can read in my book. And I almost actually picked up Florence Scovel Shin's book, The Complete Works of hers, which The Game of Life is in, that I have been reading. But love is the chapter from Your Word is Your Wand. And I was just going to say, but Jordy's here. And so I'm going to end at the hour mark for this opportunity, which has been put into two parts. If you are tuning into this one later, then definitely go back and check out the other. But ultimately, love was where I flipped, and my man is here. And ultimately, I was dealing with my own insecurities today, the wisdom of those, and really feeling like I don't feel like sitting in front of a camera offering the best that I've got access to, adding value without anyone being there that I can see or interacting with me, because I haven't put the energy into promoting it necessarily or getting the community engagement to get involved. And the other aspect of it is that what I'm offering, what I'm introducing, what I'm talking about requires inner work, which respect is a given. No, it's not, it's earned. But at the same time, it is just given. So, how do you measure that? How do you balance that? Well, you develop it within your own self, you strengthen it, you work the muscle. Respect is a muscle, integrity is a muscle, trust is a muscle, self worth is a muscle, esteem is a muscle, belief is a muscle, security, that inner sense of security is a muscle. Like, these are all ideas, but if we equate them to be like muscles that need to be exercised in order to be strengthened, we've got to break them a little in order to rebuild them back stronger and stronger and stronger. So it's a give and a take. There's a death and a rebirth, which is what Pleiadiwe, which is a Welsh goddess that my girlfriend Zora Cholmondeley, whose book I have over on my bookshelf, actually had come through in a journey that we did together. And so she told me what this goddess's name was and what she was representing. And I shared it in the last video about the mother maiden crone. But she actually is just absolutely stunning. Obviously, this isn't necessarily accurate 100%, but she became the white owl because um, it was the representation of the complete symbolic transformation. And so I've been really going through that. And, earlier today when I was thinking about tonight, and it's just like, well, I've given people an opportunity to pay by donation. If you receive value from what I've offered, then give something back, because I've done all of what I've done for free pretty much. And it's just kind of ridiculous, because I've paid a tremendous amount of money to know what I know, to be able to talk as candidly as what I do. And so it was interesting because my own self-image is really being changed. Like, I am a published author now. I do have some really amazing concepts and theories that are in my mind and my heart because I've brought them into this world. So it is time to start valuing myself, and also making sure that people are able to gain access to the information. So creating more opportunities to be able to receive back for all that I am putting out is something that I'm working on. And so whether we call it a premature resolution, I'm really kind of working through in my own self how I want opportunities like this to go, because weaving stronger inner webs, we all really need it, especially at these holidays. And, I was going to share a story about a few years back how I'd bet on myself and then I pulled back and then really experienced the backlash of doing so. And ultimately, I am very vulnerable in what I share because that's just the way that I relate stories and think about things. And my own life is all that I have access to from lived experience to be able to reference or draw from. So naturally, I would draw from my own life and experiences. But at the same time, I am really excited about the transformation of my own self image that I'm just thinking about for the rest of this month as to whether these sessions are even worth carrying on. So I suppose in these final 9 minutes before the top of the hour, when I officially turn the message off, I'd love to know if you've watched this part one and part two, what value you've received from it, and whether you're actually going to show up next Monday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Because if you are, I'm more inclined to continue. Whereas if no one says they're coming or interested, and that's also my fault because of not making you aware necessarily. But ultimately, I would love to know in those comments down below. So please go and say what this message has meant to you, what it's meant for you, what you're going to do with it. Whether respect is something that you feel like you have a good relationship with, or whether that is something that you are really working with. Respect and power are very directly connected and correlated. They're not synonymous by any means, but I think it's an important distinction between respect and power, and how, you do have a lot of power when you are respected. But just because you're powerful doesn't mean you're respected. So to be powerful is to be respected. Whereas if you're powerful and you don't have respect, you don't know who you can trust. And it's a very dangerous world up top when you're with a bunch of people that don't necessarily have your best interest at heart, don't necessarily even want you to win the way that you thought you would expect them to, because you would want them to do well for themselves. But then we find out that not everyone wants us to actually do well. Not everyone is unconditional in their love. So as we get closer to the top, I'm having fun with this hour slot, in truth. So it has not been a waste from my perspective. And I'm very grateful. And the chapter by Florence Scovel Shinn on love starts with love usually comes terrific fear. Nearly every woman comes into the world with a mythical woman in the back of her mind who is to rob her of her love. She's been called the other woman. Of course, it comes from woman's belief in duality. So long as she visualizes interference, it will come. It is usually very difficult for a woman to see herself loved by the man she loves. So these affirmations are to impress the truth of the situation upon her subconscious mind for the reality, for in reality, there is only oneness. She recommends to read the chapter or the section on love from the Game of Life and How to Play It, which is on page 44. So since it is befitting. Wow. Oh, it's a whole chapter. Well, this isn't going to be finished. Huh. Well, we'll start. Every man on this planet is taking his initiation in love. A new commandment I give unto you, that ye love one another. Uspensky states in Tertium Organum that love is a cosmic phenomenon and opens to man the fourth dimensional world, the world of the wondrous. Real love is selfless and free from fear. It pours itself out upon this object of its affection without demanding any return. Its joy is in the joy of giving. Love is God in manifestation and the strongest magnetic force in the universe. Pure unselfish love draws to itself its own. It does not seek or demand. Scarcely anyone has the faintest conception of real love. Man is selfish, tyrannical, or fearful in his affections, thereby losing the thing he loves. Jealousy is the worst enemy of love, for the imagination runs riot, seeing the loved one attracted to another, and invariably these fears objectify if they are not neutralized. For example, a woman came to me in deep distress. The man she loved had left her for other women, and said he never intended to marry her. She was torn with jealousy and resentment, said she hoped he would suffer as he had made her suffer, and added, "How could he leave me when I loved him so much?" I replied, "You are not loving that man, you are hating him," and added, "You can never receive what you have never given. Give a perfect love, and you will receive a perfect love. Perfect yourself on this man. Give him a perfect, unselfish love, demanding nothing in return. Do not criticize or condemn, and bless him wherever he is." She replied, "No, I won't bless him unless I know where he is." Well, that is not real love. When you send out real love will return to you, either from this man or his equivalent. For if this man is not the divine selection, you will not want him. As you are one with God, you are one with the love which belongs to you by divine right. Several months passed, and matters remained about the same, but she was working conscientiously with herself. I said, "When you are no longer disturbed by his cruelty, he will cease to be cruel, as you are attracting it through your own emotions." Then I told her of a brotherhood in India who never said good morning to each other. They used these words, "I salute the divinity in you." They saluted the divinity in every man and in the wild animals in the jungle, and they were never harmed, for they saw only God in every living thing. I said, "Salute the divinity in this man and say, I see your divine self only. I see you as God sees you, perfect, made in his image and likeness." She found she was becoming more poised and gradually losing her resentment. He was a captain, but she always called him the Cap. One day she said suddenly, "God bless the Cap wherever he is." I replied, "Now that is real love. And when you have become a complete circle and are no longer disturbed by the situation, you will have his love or attract his equivalent." I was moving at this time and did not have a telephone, so was out of touch with her for a few weeks, when one morning I received a letter saying, "We are married." At the earliest opportunity, I paid her a call. My first words were, "What happened?" "Oh," she exclaimed, "a miracle. One day I woke up and all suffering had ceased. I saw him that evening and he asked me to marry him. We were married in about a week, and I have never seen a more devoted man. There's an old saying, 'No man is your enemy. No man is your friend. Every man is your teacher.' So one should become impersonal and learn what each man has to teach him, and soon he would learn his lessons and be free. The woman's lover was teaching her selfless love, which every man sooner or later must learn. Suffering is not necessary for man's development. It is the result of violation of spiritual law. But few people seem able to rouse themselves from their soul sleep without it. When people are happy, they usually become selfish, and automatically the law of karma is set in action. Man often suffers loss through lack of appreciation. I knew a woman who had a very nice husband, but she often said, "I don't care anything about being married, but that is nothing against my husband. I'm simply not interested in married life." She had other interests and scarcely remembered she had a husband. She only thought of him when she saw him. One day, her husband told her he was in love with another woman and left. She came to me in distress and resentment. I replied, "It is exactly what you spoke the word for. You said you didn't care anything about being married, so the subconscious worked to get you unmarried." She said, "Oh, yes, I see. People get what they want and then feel very much hurt." She soon became in perfect harmony with the situation and knew they were both much happier apart. When a woman becomes indifferent or critical and ceases to be an inspiration to her husband, he misses the stimulus of their early relationship and is restless and unhappy. There's a whole lot more and other examples, but the point is the game of life and how to play it. If we learn how to actually love, we can cast the burden off of the moment that we're expecting ourselves to have it all figured out and actually play the game as it was intended in the moment. And with that, I can't hardly believe, but it's exactly 9:30. So I'm going to share that this is, in fact, all that will happen there. this evening, I'm going to wrap it up and say thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got a lot from it. I hope you see how the insecurities we bring with us and we acknowledge in vulnerability that is said in a safe and sacred container actually allows us to grow. And that's the point of it all. I look forward to digging into Fully Committed deeper. January, we're going to be going on a deeper dive into into self-image and the subconscious and the superconscious and the supraconscious. And we're going to really be digging into how we see ourselves in this world. And so I am going to be putting that experience together this week and look forward to unraveling that or unveiling it next week. And so I'm going to wish you well and a wonderful night. And thank you very much for your likes, shares, subscribes. And that is what I wish to say tonight. Thank you. Toodaloo. Doje. Namaste. Namago for today.